All right, we are recording. Thank you for listening to our paper presentation. The title of our presentation is Implementation of National Statewide Transportation Knowledge Management Initiatives. The National Academy of Sciences defines knowledge management as the process an organization uses to collect and manage organizational knowledge and information. Today, we're going to be looking at 3 state agency initiatives relating to knowledge management. The agencies are the National Rural Transit Assistance Program, the Oklahoma Transportation Library, and the Idaho Transportation Department. The National Rural Transit Assistance Program, or National RTAP, headquartered in Woburn, Massachusetts, developed and continuously updates a comprehensive transit manager's toolkit to provide an ongoing tool for succession of knowledge for new rural transit managers entering the workforce. Oklahoma Department of Transportation, or ODOT, developed a comprehensive knowledge management initiative as well. The Idaho Transportation Department, or ITD, is starting from the beginning by building an information management program to set the foundation for knowledge management. All 3 of these projects have utilized the expertise of librarians as driving forces in accelerating knowledge sharing and KM best practices. Outcomes of this paper will assist organizations considering or planning KM initiatives to identify key objectives, methodologies, and roles necessary for succession.
The presenters for today are myself. I'm Kara Marcus. I'm the Resource Center Manager for National RTAP. Dr. Michael Molina, who is the librarian for Oklahoma Transportation Library. And we do want to gratefully acknowledge our co-authors, Jasmine Dean Arroway, who is a librarian and was formerly the information manager for Idaho Transportation Department at the time of the writing of this paper, as well as Michelle C. Faribault, a consultant to the Oklahoma Department of Transportation.
A unique set of challenges faced each of the organizations. For example, long-tenured workers may hold knowledge without realizing that it's important for them to share. When these employees leave, there's a significant impact on knowledge retention and operations may suffer. This can demonstrate a need for comprehensive repository to transfer knowledge from older employees to newer ones. Some employees may be wary in sharing their knowledge. For example, some might think they become less valuable if they share their unique processes and procedures. They could be easily replaced, they think, if their institutional knowledge is easily accessible. Allaying those fears and helping them realize that by sharing their institutional knowledge, everyone's work becomes easier is key to any KM program's success. Other issues found among the 3 agencies included a lack of awareness of knowledge management concepts, unfamiliarity with certain technologies, obsolete systems, siloed information accessible to only one department, and difficulty in finding information.
One of the solutions was a National Transit Manager's Toolkit. National RTAP developed and continually updates this toolkit, which is an online knowledge management portal for succession of knowledge for new and existing rural transit managers, but especially those newly entering the workforce. How it's done is gaps are collected in knowledge through formal surveys that are conducted every other year, and analysis of that survey data, as well as tracking information requests from transit managers, their questions, what is provided to them, what they are able to find through our existing toolkit portal, and what is lacking is tracked. So in that way, we identify large gaps in knowledge, so we are able to continually update this KM product. National RTAP is governed by a 15-member review board which is comprised of transit agency and state dot managers. And they also serve as experts to discuss gaps, supply best practices from their own knowledge base, and review the existing toolkit as we continue to update it.
The Oklahoma Department of Transportation, or ODOT, is solving its KM issues by working with its library in coordination with a KM team. Formed in 2018, this team has identified several areas to work on, including identifying and storing critical knowledge and information in each department, creating a knowledge repository and KM archive, conducting interviews with key players, creating a KM liaison group among senior staff and employees across the agency, and advancing the concept of KM among new hires. The team has stressed a people-oriented focus rather than a technological solution. While technology was implemented in our solution, focusing on the individual and their barriers to accessing information helped achieve a strong foundation of goodwill from the start. The team avoided using terms like knowledge management and focused on more familiar language, such as information access, or asking what barriers individual employees had to finding what they needed. Another key component also involved stressing how implementing KM would reduce time spent looking for information. This was especially important for senior agency leadership. Anytime that we could save employees searching for information meant money saved in paying that employee to look for that information.
Idaho Transportation Department developed a model based on why, share, and guide, which you can see in this slide. First, explain the why for knowledge management. How can we expect compliance if we don't explain the purpose of information management? Idaho Transportation Department, or ITD, held training opportunities and marketed concepts via posters, videos, and other products. They developed an extensive community of practice for collaborating and sharing of knowledge. They learned about each other and what knowledge was needed and what knowledge could be supplied, and discussed best practices along the way. All of this was documented and shared, and information management and the librarian created many policies and standards to help all business users understand how to manage the content of the community of practice and the information sessions.
Research by the American Productivity and Quality Center, or APQC, has shown that organizations that measure KM can show a 200% return on investment. While the numbers may be hard to quantify at this stage for us, we can definitely say all three agencies experienced positive results from their implementation of KM. For National RTAP, after launching the Transit Manager's Toolkit, utilization effectively doubled from about 490 monthly web sessions to over 800 sessions. Cross-agency knowledge sharing made the toolkit more robust and applicable to transit managers from many types of agencies. The ODOT KM team helped increase awareness and support for KM among agency leadership and worked with engineers in training to identify KM concepts and encourage sharing of information. The team developed surveys and conducted interviews of key personnel, recorded findings, and uploaded findings and information and knowledge into Microsoft Teams, eventually using Microsoft Teams as a model knowledge management platform, demonstrating its effectiveness and utility as a model to other organizations within ODOT and other agencies that may want to store and record and access knowledge management information. For ITD, the team was able to provide reports to business units identifying stale data, which was used to delete approximately 5 terabytes of data before migration. Additionally, the team works with business units with new file shares to establish folder structures revolving around retention periods, helping steer units away from obscure file paths and data silos.
As you can imagine, between the three of these projects, there were many lessons learned, and all three continue to evolve in their knowledge management journeys. Things that we've learned include the efforts in knowledge management mean reaching out, sometimes on a one-to-one personal basis, to the individuals who will be impacted most, and talking to them about the importance of knowledge management. And of course, resistance can develop, as with anything of change. Many employees may not believe that knowledge management can impact them or those around them. So the managers of these KM products really needed some good background research, results, etc., to show how knowledge management can really affect their individual day-to-day work and the productivity and betterment of their agency. Staff who have been around for a long time, as we said in one of our earlier slides, may hold knowledge without even realizing that it is important to share. So tapping these gems is something that the KM managers really need to do and figure out a way to get past the barriers. Another lessons learned was many employees could view the adoption of a new policy or routine in support of knowledge management to be problematic. Everybody has a lot on their plates now, and another big initiative could be seen as a barrier to their regular work. So again, to work with them to stress the importance of moving forward with KM. As Michael iterated earlier, knowledge management may sound daunting. It may appear unfamiliar for many people, too librarianish perhaps, and overwhelming and even unnecessary to others. There are many other terms you can use, and just talking about it in terms of what do you need? What information do you need to do your job? Really brings it home to people rather than a big term like knowledge management. Generational divides can be a factor. Working with both old timers and millennials, you might need different approaches. And also maintaining support at the highest levels of the project is critical. Here at National RTAP, and I'm sure at the other agencies, we're very fortunate to have strong support from leadership for knowledge management initiatives and for the library in general. There can be technical barriers. There can be just something as simple as one part of the organization doesn't have the same technology as the others. And while that sounds small, it can be a big barrier. If one department is working with Zoom and the other's working with Microsoft Teams, you might not even be able to get on the same webinar. So the project really needs to align with the organization's goals, mission, and vision. So that goes along with leadership. It really needs to be a priority. It needs to be important. It needs to be understood by all to make it work. And these three projects were able to do all that and more.
And as Kara pointed out, you know, these three projects being able to do all of that they've accomplished with this level of success, each agency has planned various next steps. For example, National RTAP will be aligning the toolkit content to respond to evolving transit laws, regulations, and business procedures. They'll be guiding the knowledge transfer process to retrieve hidden knowledge that can also translate to other knowledge projects. Oklahoma DOT will continue fostering a culture of KM among new employees, documenting project completion summaries for DOT employees, identifying and continuing to document critical knowledge, and conducting interviews with DOT employees to specifically identify gaps of knowledge between retiring employees and new hires. ITD will be using the application inventory to rationalize redundant systems, migrate content to newly defined systems of record, and form digitization standards to define image standards for digitized content.
We do want to point out to you that all of these agencies are a part of a larger agency known as the National Transportation Knowledge Network, or NTKN. NTKN does have a website that's listed on this slide, and the organization is a national one that supports a network of transportation information and knowledge professionals who collaborate to expand, improve access to, and preserve the domain of transportation knowledge. All of the NTKN members coordinate with transportation research centers, libraries, information providers, even beyond libraries, and technical assistance centers to develop a comprehensive transportation information repository with LibGuides, meetings, with informational webinars, and more. NTKN creates value for its member institutions and their communities, which include state DOTs, national technical assistance organizations, research, and other organizations. We encourage you to find out about NTKN, and we are a welcoming community. So if you choose to join us, we look forward to welcoming you.
Lastly, we wanted to let you know about the Transportation Technical Assistance Coordination Library, or TACL. It provides a platform for access and findability of coordination resources across a diverse range of transportation technical assistance centers and the Federal Transit Administration. This slide shows links to FTA-funded technical assistance centers participating in this ongoing work. And Kara, did you want to say anything more about this program before we end our presentation?
Just a few words. TACL is pretty brand new. It just launched in 2021. And we encourage all transportation organizations, if you're looking for materials on how you can coordinate with other transportation agencies, to utilize TACL, and importantly, to let the TACL task force know how it can be improved, because it is brand new, and just like anything in knowledge management, it's evolving based on user needs. We currently do have a survey, so please contact me if you're interested in providing feedback on this new portal.
And this will be our space for questions if we have questions. And the next slide also has our contact information as well. If we want to move to that next slide, we can see our email addresses there. You can reach Kara Marcus at cmarcus@nationalartap.org, or myself at mmelina@ou.edu, or I'm sure one of us will be happy to answer questions if you call us up on the phone. So we appreciate everybody's time in attending our presentation and look forward to questions.